All right, let's talk about possible consequences of misconduct or engaging in illegal or inappropriate actions with respect to the office of the Notary Public. What are some of the reasons why the Secretary of State may revoke or suspend a commission or even simply deny approving the commission in the first place? Well, you'll remember from the very beginning of this course that we've already discussed ensuring that your application is filled out in full and that all arrests for which trials are pending and all convictions are to be listed on the application. An applicant must disclose any arrests for which trial is pending and any conviction, whether or not the conviction may be a disqualifying conviction, and regardless of where and when the conviction occurred, including dismissed convictions upon completion of probation. Juvenile convictions and traffic offenses may be excluded. Convictions and arrests for which a trial is pending must also be disclosed, even those convictions that were disclosed on a previous application. Now, failure to list convictions or arrests for which a trial is pending may be noted by the Secretary of State as a substantial and material misstatement and or omission on your application, and may be a cause for denial for that appointment. The California Secretary of State can deny an application for failing to disclose convictions, whether felonies or misdemeanors, including convictions dismissed under California Penal Code Section 1203.4 or 1203.4a. Now, those code sections reference convictions which have been dismissed upon the completion of probation, but they'll still show up in a background check. The key point here to remember is that the application for appointment as a notary public must be complete without any omission or misstatement of required information. If you can't recall the specifics about your arrests and convictions, you can contact the California Department of Justice at the number that you see on your screen. Now, the person does have a right to a hearing if the California state denies an application or if they revoke or suspend a commission. But there are two exceptions. The first exception occurs if the California Secretary of State has already denied an application or suspended a commission in a proceeding within the previous year. Now, this means that a person affected already had a suspended or revoked commission for a period of time within the previous year, and now a second proceeding has resulted in another suspension or revocation. In this case, the person affected has no right to the hearing on the second matter. The second exception is if a notary public's commission has already expired, and after a proceeding in which the person had an opportunity for a hearing, the California Secretary of State makes an order that there were or were not grounds for revoking or suspending the notary public's commission for misconduct. The point is, on this second matter, even if a notary public's commission has expired or the notary public has resigned, if the notary public has committed acts that could be grounds for suspension or revocation of the notary commission, the California Secretary of State can still go ahead with an investigation or disciplinary action following the expiration or resignation of a commission. There are many reasons why the California Secretary of State may refuse to appoint someone to act as a notary public or revoke or suspend a notary public's commission. We're going to list the reasons cited by the Secretary of State, so I'm going to go through them without much comment. We've already discussed many of these throughout the course, but some will be new, and you can find more information concerning the disciplinary guidelines at the website we've listed here. Okay, we're just going to read through these, as I said, without much comment. And remember, these are some of the reasons why the California Secretary of State may refuse to appoint someone to act as a notary public or revoke or suspend a notary public's commission. Suspension and material misstatement or omission in the application submitted to the California Secretary of State to become a notary public. We just talked about that a second ago, so that should be pretty clear. Conviction of a felony, a lesser offense involving moral turpitude, or a lesser offense of a nature which is incompatible with the duties of a notary public. A conviction after a plea of nolo contendere is deemed to be a conviction. I don't know if I said that right, but if I didn't, I'm sure someone will let me know. The revocation, suspension, restriction, or denial of a professional license, if the revocation, suspension, restriction, or denial was for misconduct based on dishonesty or for any cause substantially relating to duties or responsibilities of a notary public. Failure to discharge fully and faithfully any of the duties or responsibilities required of a notary public when adjudicated liable for damages in any suit grounded in fraud, misrepresentation, or for violation of state regulatory laws, or in any suit based upon a failure to discharge fully and faithfully the duties as a notary public. The use of false or misleading advertising, wherein the notary public has represented that the notary has duties, rights, or privileges that he or she does not possess by law. The practice of law. Charging more than the maximum allowable statutory fees. Commission of any act involving dishonesty, fraud, or deceit with the intent to substantially benefit the notary public or another, or substantially injure another. Failure to complete the acknowledgement at the time the notary public's signature and seal are affixed to a document. Failure to administer the oath or affirmation as required. Execution of any certificate as a notary public containing a statement known to the notary to be false. Violation of California Government Code Section 8223. And this section of California Government Code primarily makes it illegal for someone holding himself or herself out as an immigration specialist or immigration consultant to advertise in any way that he or she is a notary public. Failure to submit any remittance payable upon demand by the California Secretary of State, or failure to satisfy any court-ordered money judgment, including restitution. The failure to secure the notary journal or official seal, or willful failure to report the theft or loss of the journal. Translating notary public into Spanish or advertising in a language other than English without posting the required wording in that advertisement in both languages, as we discussed in a previous video. The commission of an act in violation of California Government Code Section 6203. That's the delivery of a certificate known to be false. 8214.2. Willful fraud in connection with a deed of trust. 8225. Soliciting as a notary public to perform a known improper notarial act. 8227.3. Non-notary placing an encumbrance on a real property single-family residence, or of California Penal Code Section 115. Knowingly filing false or forged document placing an encumbrance on a single-family residence. 470. Forgery. 487. Grand theft, or 530.5. Willfully obtaining personal information of another for criminal purposes. Now, of course, as you can tell, we've just copied this list directly from the California Secretary of State. It has all the codes. All of these codes are listed in the study guide. When you download them, you'll see all of these codes, not just these, but all the codes that we've talked about throughout the course. So if those codes are important for you, they're there. You won't need to know the code numbers for the exam. The exam's not going to require you to remember code numbers. Just remember the violations. Willful failure to provide access to a sequential journal of official notary acts upon request by a peace officer. Remember, again, these are all reasons for commission revocation or suspension or application denial. Well, did you get all that? If you have any questions on these, be sure to visit the website I gave you at the start of this section. It's once again listed on your screen. Now, let's turn our attention to the civil penalties, which will include the fines for notarial misconduct.